Welcome to Truth to Tal and Isaac. I'm Tal.
I'm Isaac.
Episode number 130 coming at you tonight. That's a lot of shows. Nice job, big guy. Good work.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah, thank you.
Good job to the fans as well.
All right, fans, loving the support. Appreciate it. Big NBA playoff update, and then the draft. We haven't recorded since the NFL draft, and that's kind of a big thing. Off the top, episode number 129. If you haven't listened to or watched 129, you were missing out. Famous Luke Willson, 2 L's, was on the show. He was amazing.
Great show. Lots of feedback. We were kind of in contact with him, and he was like asking us multiple times, like, what do people think? Like, how did it go? What do you think? Asking what we thought and asking what our extensive fans thought. So it was great. It was great across the board. Lots of great feedback.
Yeah, a few comments, questions. People said that was like a real podcast, like they listened to real episodes.
Real.
Somebody said when Isaac's going to go work for Barstool. That was the question that I had. Do you have any plans to go work for Barstool?
Yeah, I'm really happy.
You're a free agent?
I'm not. I'm really happy with where I am now, as I literally have a contract signed with my name, with my employer, and I love it, and it's great. So we'll just keep it there.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Good answer. Really
PR,
good answer.
PR trained.
Seriously, the inside scoop on Matt Patricia, awesome. The Russell Wilson era, playing in Seattle for Pete Carroll. Great show. Thanks, Luke. If you're listening, appreciate you, man.
Yeah, shout out Luke. Okay. What else?
Detroit Tigers, 4 words. Isaac blacked out all the redactment, like he redacted my initial Tiger talk, my Tiger discussion. Please find offense. Please. 4 words.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay. I have an off the top.
Go ahead.
It has to do with my shirt, those on YouTube. So I'm wearing my Kendrick Lamar shirt, which is aging incredibly. Drake versus Kendrick, big rap battle. Actually, a big deal. Like, kind of was just like a little thing, and then it turns into a huge thing.
Blew up on Saturday.
And now I'm not even as educated as I should, just because there's so many storylines, and I have
the fact that they dropped so much so quickly kind of indicates that it was set ahead of time.
No, bro, that's just respectfully a casual take.
But it's a pretty good take.
No, casual indicating not a good take. This is what these guys are saying is not something you would do. Like, it's like,
I know it's harsh.
Both of them would be serving significant jail sentences if the respective allegations are true. So I just want to leave it out. I'm Team Kendrick, obviously. I just want to leave it out to you. Where are you with Drake and Kendrick? What are your thoughts on all this?
I don't know enough about the battle to really say. I like both of their music. I have to admit, I think I like Kendrick's music a little better.
That's good. I'll get you like
I'm not a Degrassi fan.
Yeah, that's like, I don't even know that reference, right? Like, I didn't.
You know what that is?
Yeah, but I didn't watch whatever that was.
Nobody watched it.
Okay. I'm gonna give you like the top 15 of each. I'm a huge I saw both in concert actually, so that's kind of cool. And you saw Travis Scott, so hopefully he doesn't get in any fights.
And Big Sean.
And you saw no, we'll talk about that later, but don't forget.
So I gotta write that down.
Okay, so yeah, Drake and Kendrick, it's like a huge deal, and it's just producing music, so I'm kind of there for it. But I'm a Kendrick guy. I kind of always have been, and then this has solidified that stance. So good stuff, Kenny. Any
more off the top?
No, that's all I got.
Let's roll into the NBA playoffs. Listen, they've been pretty good. Like, some good games, some interesting stuff. I'm going to kind of cover most of the East. He's going to cover most of the West. We'll have some questions, some comments about either side. I think we can acknowledge that there was a literal changing of the guard. Like, it's the Thursday night. So who's not playing anymore? KD, Steph, LeBron, Embiid, Giannis. Like, those guys are out.
And yeah, so those guys are out, and it's fine. We've got guys.
We got Ant, who's just
we're gonna do a bit on
whole
him.
Other stratosphere. We got Shea, who got lots of MVP votes. We got Brunson, who's just like a 5'10" beast.
These guys we'll talk about, but before we get into the current matchups, I have a couple questions for you. Which team that made the playoffs has the bleakest future? This was a question Cousin Colin presented to me.
Ooh,
and it's a tough one.
Great question.
And I kind of settled on a team, but I'm not really happy. So not playing team, right? Like not Atlanta, right? Like you're looking at teams that
the two teams that jump out to me are Miami and the Lakers.
Okay. So that one, okay, that hurts.
I know it does, but I got to be honest, right? Like, we're going to talk about it in a little bit, but fair amount of rumors floating around about Jimmy getting traded.
Yeah.
You kind of indicated it on earlier shows it's time for Jimmy to just go.
Yeah.
Go to OKC, win something.
I'm not ready to comment on Jimmy yet. I will be. I'll present a statement maybe in a couple weeks, but I'm not ready yet. I kind of leaned Phoenix.
Phoenix is also a good pick. Yeah.
But I don't feel easy with that pick because they have Kevin Durant and Devin Booker and Bradley Beal. Now, Beal isn't an asset anymore, but he's still a name. But Durant and Booker are legit assets, especially Booker.
There's KD rumors floating out there. I don't think they're going to trade Book. Book is a top 10 player still.
Well, that's the thing. Book's going to get a huge return. He'd get the biggest return of any of these guys. And, can play anywhere. I really think that. But homegrown guy. Phoenix loves him. He's a Phoenix guy. Obviously, there's the Pistons stuff, but that's not real. And then Kevin Durant is 36, and he's great, but he's injured and he's old.
Sure.
And he had a tough season, tough load. So I don't know. Those are two, and then I don't know. Clippers, tough to say there. Lots of uncertainties.
The stuff with PG is super interesting. I guess they're not going to sign him.
Well, he wants max, and they're not going to give him max, right?
Yeah.
Which kind of seems goofy for Ballmer to kind of penny pinch now.
Yeah, you're already spending $500 million. Just spend a little bit more than $500 million.
So Lakers or Heat, or Phoenix, kind of. I just want to give me a team.
Partially, the Heat I feel bad for, but I just think after Jimmy, they've got Bam and not much else.
That's the thing. People are like, Miami should trade Jimmy and build around Bam and Hero. Ask any Heat fan, that's not going to work.
No.
Bam has reached his offensive peak, and it's an 18-point per game peak.
Listen, Bam is a great complementary player. He's probably a really good number 3. Maybe if he stretches, he's a real good number 2 if he's playing with KD or somebody who's awesome.
He's a 3. He's the third option on a championship.
But
maybe 4.
Hero is just a guy. I like him, but he's just a guy.
Yeah, he's just he's going to be a 6-man guy. That's kind of who he is. He might get you 20 a game for a season.
Sure.
Not super efficient.
He still gets hunted on D.
I agree. Milwaukee. We didn't talk about them. Where do they go from here?
I have no idea because they sold the farm for this year.
Old man Dame, who showed some life. The corpse of Dame showed some life in the playoffs,
but not enough consistently. That's the problem, and it's hard. Basically, Milwaukee showed they never got it going during the regular season and were unable to turn it up for the playoffs. Obviously, Giannis playing, it's a whole different issue. But in the past, Dame's winning first-round games against a 6 seed by himself.
Yeah, I don't know where Milwaukee
not that
goes.
distant past.
Their future's not nearly as bleak as Suns, Clippers, I think, because they have Giannis and right.
Giannis is a guy who can make a whole lot of players better just by sheer will.
For a year, maybe 2 years, Giannis was kind of unanimously best player on the planet. I think a lot of people
Giannis
forget
is
that.
a little similar to me in terms of effort.
Break it down.
Well, I try really hard. Here's where we differ. He has an unbelievable amount of skill, and I have virtually no skill. Right? But Blevins was giving me some props.
Yeah. Shout out Blevins. Yeah.
I fight through screens hard. Isaac, I like playing basketball with Isaac because he knows, my comfort zone is the 17, 18-foot baseline J. I like that. And so I run. It's what I got, effort. I'm going to run down the court, usually not get a pass, but I'm going to tire them out a little bit. Then I'm going to do 2 or 3 baseline loops. Isaac's going to hit me with a 17-foot J.
Thank you. Yeah. That's a good compliment.
Isaac and Dante should not play together on Monday Night Basketball.
Yeah.
Captain Steve, stop it.
So enough obscure references. Back to basketball. Victory parade for the Lakers because they won a playoff game. I just have to put that out there. That was a line that I wrote down.
Yeah, they should probably put a banner up.
Probably because this is a huge deal. The closest series ever against Denver where they got swept. Well, this is probably the second closest series. Or maybe now this is the closest series because they actually won a game.
It's got to be.
So good job, Lakers. Dream finals matchup. I'll just ask this right off the bat before we go into
Dream finals?
Yeah, right now.
Anybody but Boston.
No. Give me a team.
Sorry, dream or realistic?
Did I say realistic? Sorry, maybe I misspoke. Dream.
You
get one team from the East, you get one from the West. They play on the biggest stage.
I guess probably the Knicks because they are very entertaining. But Minnesota, because there's Minnesota and OKC. I love them both. I think I'm picking Ant just because he's the funnest player in the world.
So you're Knicks, Minnesota.
I think so.
That's where I am.
Okay.
And it's so clear to me.
I was kind of leaning towards Indianapolis, but basically, New York has Brunson, who's 5'10",
let's get into
a bunch of guys who try hard.
Okay, let's get into that. So Knicks, Pacers. Knicks are up 2-0. I will let you talk about that right now.
So great series, and probably the best series so far. Up 2-0, could easily be down 0-2. The Knicks play hard. They got a lot of boards. I don't know how many times it was said yesterday, but the Knicks' best offensive play in the fourth quarter is offensive rebounds. They just get stuff done. Now, did they get some breaks on calls? Yes. Indianapolis sent tape to the league, I think, of 78 missed calls or blown calls in the first 2 games. But take a step back and think about the makeup of the Knicks, especially now that OG is injured. They've got Brunson and a bunch of dudes. And Brunson somehow is a 5'10 guy who just gets more points in the paint than any 5'10 dude that I can ever think of since maybe Isaiah Thomas. My Isaiah Thomas, not the punk who played in Boston.
He's not even that much of a punk, but that's fine. Just keep going.
Well, I just don't like him because he played for Boston.
Yeah.
Halliburton, I can't figure him out. So let's just think for a second. The last season, he had a great season, certainly finished strong. First half of the season, all-star, even some MVP chatter. Then he hurt his hammy, and then he's been virtually nothing up until Game 2. He got a lot of criticism after Game 1. I think only took 3 shots or 4 shots, got 6 points. But last night he went off, had a good game. So I'm going to shout it out. I'm going to make a prediction and say I think the series is actually going to go 7 games.
Why?
Just because I think Indianapolis is due for some calls. New York is due to not get every offensive rebound. OG is hurt. Brunson's actually doing a whole Willis Reed impression with getting dinged up the foot thing. If you don't understand that Willis Reed reference,
I'll do a bit on it right now.
please go.
Okay. So sometimes, I'm not a huge YouTube guy, but sometimes I get in rabbit holes of like 1967 NBA Finals tape. Like that's happened frequently, where I'm just watching Wilton, Russell, and that kind of stuff. So yesterday, Game 2, when the Knicks won, it was 54 years to the day of the Willis Reed game.
That's awesome.
So this is 1970 NBA Finals Game 7, and
We injured his ankle in Game 6.
Yes, injured it. Maybe even injured it before. I think he injured it in like Game 5 and then missed Game 6. Like I think he missed a game. Regardless, basically Willis Reed like waits until the second before the anthem. They shoot him up with a bunch of stuff. He goes. He plays.
It's 1970. He's probably doing heroin and crack.
That's not what the article said, but maybe. Maybe.
Probably.
So Willis Reed goes out there to the Garden to shoot like a few warm up shots and hits his first 2. And then the place goes nuts. Like the place is erupting.
Even him jogging out on the court is one of the best scenes of all time.
Look it up. There's
MSG
footage.
is going nuts. MSG is the mecca of sports, right?
So this is against Wilt, who Wilt would lift up Reed to diminish Russell, if that makes sense. So Wilt and Russell hated each other.
Yep.
Wilt would be like, Reed's the best guy I ever played against, to diminish Russell because Wilt and Russell hated each other. Mainly Wilt hated Russell because Russell like owned him. Anyways, Reed plays. Do you know how many points Reed had that game?
6.
4. He hit 2 buckets early in the game, and that's it. Didn't get many boards, didn't get many assists, but just played like elite defense.
Willed his team to win.
Got the boys fired up. So
Yeah.
Walt Frazier had 36 points and 19 assists that game. So like,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, people won't talk about that. I was watching
Nope.
some of the game today.
It's the Willis Reed game.
So go and just look that up. Great stuff. There's a little history lesson.
Okay.
So you talked about the styles here. Knicks O board versus the Pacers can't.
It's fun
rebounding.
to watch. Spicy P is interesting to watch. He used to be a better 3-point shooter. And I don't understand how guys become worse 3-point shooters in this day and age. Do we want to pull up the stat where we talked about 2023-24 season? There were more 3-pointers hit in that season than all of the 1980s combined.
Not 80s or 90s, either way.
80s.
Was it the
Still.
80s? Okay. Probably
And it
90s.
wasn't even close.
Yeah, so
It's a different game.
We can do a whole bit on that, but yeah. So talk about Brunson. The whole controversy, and you actually stayed up for this. You stayed up until 9 to watch. Which
No,
is really,
I was like 10:30 last night. Come on.
Sorry.
Played beach volleyball. We won
Yeah.
our first game,
That's enough of that.
and then we lost our next 5.
Okay, so who can guard Brunson? They're putting Nemhard on him, who just getting cooked completely. Tried Neesmith, who I actually like. Does not look good 2 games defensively, especially off-ball stuff
PJ
too.
did pretty good.
There's no PJ, it's TJ.
TJ,
Who we're going to talk about, McConnell, who can't shoot.
Am I allowed to ask how
No.
a backup point guard of a certain gender, not gender.
No, I'm just going to
certain-
stop. No. That's in it. That's,
how
I know
can
it,
he not shoot?
Okay, wow.
Is that a thing?
He's a low usage 3-point guy. TJ McConnell's always kind of been a defender.
TJ, yeah.
12-foot mid-range guy. Anyway, McConnell's the only guy that's given Brunson any kind of trouble. And even that, like,
But he
Brunson's
sat the last 7 minutes.
last 7 minutes because he can't shoot and Nemhard can shoot threes. I wrote down Rise of Hartenstein. That guy's gonna get a bag soon.
I like him.
Yeah, I liked him
And he was almost triple-double guy last. He stood up for his man Brunson last night. Got a lot of dimes, got some boards. He's always there around the offensive glass or for a dish, right? Hart is great at breaking people down off the dribble. Brunson's great at breaking people down off the dribble. He got, like, I'm sure his shots were all within 2 feet of the rim.
Well, that's the thing. Brunson, when you look at like league leaders in zones, it's like all these huge guys around the rim and Brunson. It's awesome.
It's awesome.
So Rise of Hartenstein, I liked him with the Clippers, and it's great to see him
name
with
for
the
a
Knicks.
movie, actually. Rise of Hartenstein.
Yeah, well, Stein, I think.
Stein.
Anyways, I love both these teams. I really liked Pacers.
Good.
I was public about this. I'm in on the Knicks. I have been for a while. I picked them in the first round when people were fading
The Reggie
them.
Miller trash talk is funny.
It's a little too much for me.
But if you were alive during that time, it was everything.
Maybe it's just like I want to watch
Scored 8
basketball.
points in
Yeah.
9 seconds, I think.
Yeah, it was 8 points and 9. It's like Brunson's been out for 40 minutes, and I don't have an update, but I got to see Reggie Miller highlights for 6 minutes during the TNT broadcast. Not what I want as a fan. The Halliburton fall off, like he had a good game. He had a good first half of game 2. I don't get it. It's kind of injury thing, kind of mental.
It's weird.
Carlisle has made some comments that kind of insinuate it's more mental.
I think it's mental because it's beyond physical at this point. And how could he have such a good game last night?
That's a first half. So yeah, we talked. Do you have any more comments on Willis Reed stuff?
No.
Just everyone should go look that up.
Yeah.
So Knicks Pacers, you want Knicks, but you think it goes 7.
I do think it goes to Kevin and the Knicks win.
Yeah, that'd be great. I know.
It's the best series.
Well, OG ruled out for game 3. Brunson questionable. Pacers are currently 8-point favorites.
So if you're the Knicks, do you just say, we're throwing the subs in, Dante, you are going to need to score 40 points in order for us to win?
You're going to need Alec Burks' legacy game, who's now playing. Look, I think the Knicks are kind of thrown in game 3. A bit of like, they're going back to Indiana, so Indiana's going to be juiced. They have good home court. It's kind of a mix of that.
Go game 3 and then go all in for game 4.
Game 4 and then game 5 back at the Garden.
Yep.
But you think that it goes 7, which I'd love.
I do.
Okay, I'll let you talk about Celtics Cavs while I not listen.
Listen, Cleveland's a funny team because when they traded for D. Mitch, it was like, wow, they have 4 tremendous building blocks, too big, too small, and anybody who could shoot a three-pointer. And they're like, they got this. So they got Isaac Okoro. They picked up Strus, who was pretty good in Miami, but really didn't do much in Cleveland. So anyway, Cleveland and Orlando beat the crap out of each other in the first round. Orlando was a good defensive team, but inefficient offensively. So Cleveland skated by for the opportunity to get your ass kicked by Boston. Listen, we're not Celtics fans, but we need to respect the organization. They have the best top-end depth in the league.
Top-end depth, what does that mean?
I mean, they've had 4.5, sure, but maybe even 5 that are borderline all-stars.
Tatum's been a great role player this playoffs.
Yeah.
Put that out
But
there.
listen, Brown's been good. D. White has just been awesome. Probably been the best Celtics so far in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And listen, old man...
Drew. No. Al.
Old man Al.
He's 37.
Just solid. He plays good. Anyway, so I give Boston some credit. They're just going to beat the crap out of Cleveland. I think a sweep is likely. D. Mitch just doesn't have the juice. And there's some rumors about Cleveland actually trading Mobley, Okoro, and a bunch of picks for KD. I don't know if you heard that one.
I don't know what world Kevin Durant ends up in Cleveland, Ohio, but I don't think it's this one.
You don't think so?
When he requested a trade, it was South Beach, and then they said no. He's like, okay, fine, Phoenix. I'll settle for Phoenix.
Okay, it maybe wasn't the most reputable site that
Did you make up like that trade?
No.
Okay. Celtics Cavs, briefly, I don't want to talk about this. My goal is to watch as little as possible. The Cavs are a team I figured out a year ago when I saw them lose to the Knicks in person. Things need to change, like you said. Celtics, this is pretty funny. A team so perfectly constructed. It's simple. I wrote this. I was proud of this. It's simply a matter is if they can win the conference finals and the finals without having the best player on the court. And that's their issue. That's because they play in the conference finals. Brunson's been better than Tatum, objectively.
For sure.
And then you play whoever you play in the finals.
Listen, the East could not be opening up
No, I don't
more
want to
easily for Boston. No, that's the truth.
I don't like doing that, but it's
it out
like
there.
Giannis is hurt, Jimmy's hurt, Embiid is hurt.
I know it's
Everything
terrible, but if this puts a bit of a hex on the Celtics, I'm okay with that. And then the Knicks get to be in the finals.
And then in the finals, you're looking at Luka, Shea, or Ant. all of which are way better than Tatum right now. Sorry.
Or Jokic. I mean,
yeah.
it's still a possibility they come back. I think unlikely at this point.
That's all I got on Celtics.
Just a couple more takes on the East.
Please, yeah.
Is this who Embiid is?
I'll let you go to that.
Well, okay, I'll give you my opinion, then you can provide your opinion. I respect his game. He's a bit of a bitch sometimes. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say that.
Yeah. That's a swear word.
But now it's just consistently not in good shape for the playoffs. So I think it's 5 years in a row or 5 of the last 6 years. So I think this is who he is. And then, listen, I like Maxey. So obviously Philly has lots of cap room, so they need to try and get somebody like KD. Oh, Jimmy, they tried that. It didn't work because they were babies. Decided to go with Simmons instead.
Simmons and Harris.
Yeah. Harris is a 0. Pistons, please don't sign him.
We didn't even
talk chatter about that.
So he had 0 points in the last game, right? In the elimination game?
0.
In 30 minutes. He was 0 for 2.
Yeah.
And we always joke about who do you, when you want, I made a list. I remember once I made a manic list of 15, a roster, 15 guys of I watch basketball and I don't realize they're on the court. And Harris was the all-star.
Number one.
Yeah, Harris was the MVP
He's the
of the
MVP.
team.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all I got. What else do you have on these? So Embiid, yeah, I don't know. I'm up and down with him. The free throw stuff is real. The ref stuff is real. The flopping is real. For a 300-pound man to hit the ground when a little man hits him, it's kind of foolish to look at.
Yeah. Well, he watches a lot of LeBron tape.
Yeah, evidently he does. Okay, what else do you have?
Sorry, Giannis. That's crappy.
Yeah, sorry, Giannis.
Sorry, Giannis.
I don't feel super bad.
They got a championship, so that's good, but they're in rough shape now.
I just don't feel bad because of a lot of this. I think is
and stop trying to depend on Middleton. Middleton is he is who he is now.
Old man Chris showed me some life this playoff.
Not much.
He had one legacy half.
Sure,
I think. Yeah,
that's it.
That's what he'll give you now.
Dame had one legacy half too.
Yes, he did. What else do you have on these? Anything?
That's it.
Okay, we'll go to the West. Do you want to go with Timberwolves Nuggets first or Mavericks Thunder?
Let's go with the Wolves first. It's amazing what they're doing.
So I was more excited for this game 1 than any other game all playoffs. Yeah. Huge deal. It was at 7 p.m. On Saturday, which is just brilliance because I was able to watch that. And then I think I watched maybe the Tigers lose right before that. Anyways, I was really pumped for this game. So Ant is just kind of putting himself on another level right now. Let the overreactions flow. So I will let you do a bit on Ant right now because I know you want to.
Ant and the Wolves are the best defensive team since the Detroit Bad Boys.
Of 04 or of 90?
90. 04 I know was in the discussion. This is Bill Simmons, right?
Well, I was looking at some lists of best defensive win shares.
I'm going to say my Bad Boys, 88, 89, 90. Minnesota's the best defensive team since then.
Yeah,
no.
Okay.
Just because there was a decade where they played real defense prior to that. Now they're going back to early 2000s, which may put them in a conversation with the 04 Pistons, but don't try and compare them to the old days. Okay. It's a different ball game.
There's two famous clips. There's one of Alexander Walker, who he's guarding Murray in the half court, and he's got this crazy psycho smirk on his face as he's guarding Murray. So that clip, and then there's one, I think Alexander Walker picks up Murray full court, and then he gets trapped by McDaniels and Alexander Walker, and it's just this mix of length, and they don't foul, and it's unbelievable.
They're long and good, and they work hard. Do you want to talk about Ant now?
Yeah, that's kind of what.
You go nuts.
It's unprecedented.
Talk about him.
The last time a guy did something similar, I was doing some research today. Do you have any idea who the last guy to do something similar? I have some numbers here, but if you think it happened,
Michael Jordan against Boston, 63 points.
No. I have in terms of a playoff run, kind of this is earlier than what we thought. Is he really going to lead them to a championship? So there's a couple. So the Jordan one happened. There's one more recent.
Magic, jumping center.
More recent. We're going in the early O's. So Dwayne Wade.
Okay.
Coming out of Marquette. So if you look at his if you look at his first few years before the Heat stuff with LeBron, in 05, Wade was 23. So I think this was his third year. I think it was his third year. They lost in the conference finals in 05, but he scored 20. I have it here: 28 points, 7 assists, 6 boards. And then the next year, obviously, was 06, in which they won it. And he took another leap up. So the question with Ant is it going to be similar to this, and they lose in the conference finals or the finals, and then the next year, Ant takes another leap and wins the championship next year?
That is usually what happens in basketball. For some reason, Minnesota's just gelling. They've got too many like parts that you're not dependent on them to play their best in order to win.
Towns is going to get in foul trouble and
Towns
be a
is going
baby.
to do some stupid things.
No, I'm saying like scenario. Towns is in foul trouble and going to be a baby.
Yeah.
Nas
That's okay. Reed is a great backup big.
Rudy Gobert. Now we'll talk about that. Rudy Gobert can't play. Nas Reed, give him the call. Nas will start.
Yeah.
So now I'll let you do the bit on. We'll finish up with Ant. Finish up with Ant because this is positive before you make fun.
Anyway,
of
he's just fun. Watch him on offense, defense. He walks into an arena and he says to everybody, "I'm the best player in the gym. I'm the best looking guy in the gym. I'm the funniest guy in the gym. Nobody's stopping me." And I give him credit. It's not like it doesn't annoy me from an arrogance perspective. He's pretty accurate. Like he was awesome in hustle.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing this up.
And that's when we kind of realized, wow, he's something.
Yeah. So Hustle was kind of like, this guy's just like charismatic and funny and awesome. And then his basketball just continued to lead. So in terms of historical, like I say, unprecedented, it hasn't happened for 20 years in the NBA. This is not a common occurrence. Wade did it. Kobe kind of did it. It's different there because he had Shaq. But Kobe kind of did it in like 01. I was looking at those numbers. And then before that, you're looking like late 80s with Jordan stuff. And it took him a few years to win. So the Ant stuff, I love watching it. I'm glad that like, it's happening now. This is a perfect time for the league. Like you talked about. You got all of these American stars. You have Curry, you have James, you have Durant kind of on their way out. And Ant's like, oh, okay, I'll be the face of the league.
I'm happy to take the mantle.
Like if Ant and Victor are the face of the league for the next 15 years.
It's in pretty good shape.
Happy with those two, right? And then you obviously, you still have your Giannis's and your Jokic's. But those two guys are just, so that's the Ant bit. Gobert. So, do we want to talk about the trade first? Because I want to talk about the trade again.
I think
or the
we
baby
need to
stuff.
talk about Gobert is the most unlikable guy in the league by the players and a lot of the fans. He's the guy who did the stupid COVID stuff, and he's just annoying. He does annoying things, and then this wasn't his fault, but he got traded for pretty much the entire state.
Of
right?
what? What state?
Minnesota.
Okay, yeah.
Like they traded Minnesota and the National Mall and all their future first.
That's a big asset.
And the Minnesota Wild and the Minnesota Twins for Gobert.
Yeah. So you talk about the
Not
Rudy
the Vikings,
trade.
though.
It was still a complete overpay. I don't care if they win a championship. Still an overpay. If they win a championship, it justifies
If
the
they
overpay.
win a championship,
It justifies the overpay.
that's what they're going to say?
That's what I'm going to say. I agree with that. If you win a championship, it justifies an overpay.
I guess so, but if they win a championship, it's because of Ant, not because of Gobert.
All of this is dependent on Ant going on a superstar Hall of Fame run at age 22.
Staying on that run.
So you can make the case, maybe their GM, Connolly saw something in Ant and knew, okay, it's really, really benefited the Doughty there, and it would justify the overpay. But so many things, the biggest which of being Ant has to go turn into a Hall of Famer at age 22, way before anyone thought, for the trade to look good. So I just want to put that out there. It was still an overpay, dependent on Ant becoming the face of basketball and a plethora of weapons. That's what I wrote down.
Okay.
So Rudy Gobert had a kid, game 2, early, in the morning. I don't know what time.
No way.
Yeah.
I didn't hear any of this.
So
I knew he missed the game because of his kid, but I thought delivery was at 7 p.m.
I couldn't find the time. I looked hard. It just said morning.
Okay, so they're keeping it down. So it doesn't. So morning
could be 1 a.m.
Sure.
Could be 11:30 a.m.
Either way, it's 11:30.
Either way,
still lots of time.
I haven't had kids, but I'm just saying, could he have done 3 hours, 4 hours, probably anywhere from 3 to 7 hours doing kid nurturing?
Unless the baby's
there.
in an incubator, I think you go to the game.
Well, I'm just saying, you could have dedicated 3 to 7 hours of baby, wife stuff, your girlfriend, fiance, and then fly to the game, private jet or whatever, and play.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that guy. I haven't had kids.
Do we know birthplaces and when and where, or no?
No, but assuming it was in Minnesota, and the game was in Denver, I don't know how long that flight is.
Not long.
I'm just saying, I feel like it was kind of easy.
I bet you it's not more than 3 hours.
So game started at what? It was late, right? It was 9:30.
Yeah.
Or 9. So let's say it was 9:30. Willis Reed, let's say he just walked onto the court at 9:15. So you got to be in a plane at 6 p.m. or so. It's kind of the math we just did.
Sure.
You had a lot of time to do baby stuff and then go win.
Yeah, and you can be stretching on the plane and warming up on the plane and have a double espresso and go do your stuff, man.
So there's the Gobert thing. Do we want to talk about Jamal Murray and his fall? Like, I know you're going to get sad, but...
I'm sad.
It's real, dude.
Listen, I like watching Denver. I like Jamal. He's Canadian, if you haven't listened to the show ever. But Minnesota's just kind of said no. And Murray hasn't played well in the playoffs.
So 2-game winners were awesome.
Yeah.
I don't want to say outliers, but like he was not efficient. He was not very good.
If you didn't know Murray prior to this, you'd be like, oh man, he hits a big shot. But he's not much after that.
Yeah, he's not looked good. He's like I think the injury is real. And then it's like, oh, Minnesota has like 6 different guys that they can put on him to harass. Yeah. Often 2 of them at the same time.
Denver losing Brown and Green in the offseason eroded their depth. So they're too dependent on all of their starting 5 playing well.
Yeah, and then like Peyton Watson is, I love. Like he's not getting as many minutes as that. This isn't a great series for him. And then you've got like Christian Brown is now playing a ton. Justin Holiday is playing a ton. Like that was not for Reggie Jackson. So yeah, I love this series. I'm all in Minnesota. I would love Minnesota, New York.
What's your prediction?
Minnesota, and I want to say 4. I want to go all in on the sweep.
I don't think so. Listen, hard to be champion.
6.
6 is what I have.
Okay, but Minnesota, I'm in. Sorry, Denver, I'm in. Mavericks Thunder. I don't have a ton on this.
Fun. They're both entertaining teams. They got guys we like watching.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Doncic's knee issue is real. Like, that's a significant injury. Like, it's really laboring him. And OKC has multiple bodies put on him after Dort. Dort is like, I know you love Dort, but in terms of guys that you can put on Luka, Dort's like a top couple guy in the league.
Sure, but then they're throwing other guys at him, which are tough.
Yeah, guys like the main one, Jalen Williams, who's like a really, really good defender too. And then like Shea has taken turns on him. Kaysen Wallace, the rookie, like he can guard him too. Doncic doesn't shoot. He's 5 for 35 from his last.
You showed me an interesting stat. Listen, Luka needs to hit 2s. Like you're just not hitting 3s because of lift, because of legs, whatever it is. Then hit 2s and get to the line. Is it possible that Kyrie Irving stays out of any drama-filled incidents throughout the playoffs? Because I didn't think that was possible.
Yeah, we're on a good streak right now with Kyrie. He's up right now. We're good.
He is.
We'll get through the playoffs.
Yeah, but he's going to do something stupid, if not in the playoffs, within a week of the playoffs being done.
Off-season, yeah. Yep. I just look, if OKC has all these pieces working, like Aaron Wiggins and Isaiah Joe and the other Jalen Williams, like they're going to be really hard to stop.
And I think the number is, other than one basket by Hayward, everything else has been scored by guys 25 and under, or 24 and under.
Yeah, and they rolled out Hayward for a bit. He's not giving you much, but like I think he has a spot on that team right now.
Yep.
I'm rooting for OKC for sure. I really, really like OKC.
Listen, how good a conference finals is OKC and Minnesota going to be?
So I was thinking about that.
I'm going to have to adjust my sleep schedule.
Yeah, well, hopefully they make these times at these good games at a good time. But yeah, you're gonna have to stay up. You're gonna have to nap to watch. You're gonna have to figure that out.
I can work the nap thing in.
Delay espresso. I'm not sure what it is. So we're looking at Minnesota, OKC, and then Boston and New York is kind of what we're looking at.
Yep.
I know you want to do predictions, so go ahead.
I got to go with Minnesota, and so this is what I think is going to happen. Boston is going to end up playing Minnesota, and Boston has the better talent, but shockingly, they come up short and lose in a tough 7-game series.
I love that.
Yeah, 5 for 17. I don't even need to tell you his last name.
Ant Finals MVP over Tatum. Like that would feed families, as Matt Wismer would say.
Feed families. I'm not sure if our outfits are feeding families, but thanks, Wiz.
Okay. That's all I got on basketball.
Sorry, Uncle Phil.
Because he's a Boston fan?
Yeah.
We have nothing to... He's very happy right now. He might go win a championship in the next couple weeks.
But it's not going to happen, and he's going to blame us.
Yeah, he knows that we're not Boston guys. Sorry, Uncle Phil. Sorry, Cousin Colin.
Yeah, shout out to Ken, because this is a funny text today. Ken texted me, how's your day going? And I was in a meeting, so I didn't respond right away. And he said, I'm having my gallbladder taken out today.
So again, no one needed to hear that.
Yeah, but it's funny.
I don't think Ken wanted that to be shared.
Oh, yeah, he did.
So I'm not going to say details of the story, but at dinner today, I'm going to try to get through this. At dinner today, my mom said something that was like a pretty serious story, but her opening line to the story was like a comical, like it was a joke. So I kind of start like holding in my laugh, and this is an issue, it's a character flaw of me. I laugh a lot, often at the wrong time. So she says something that is not funny, Like, if you got 100 people in a room, 98 of them aren't laughing. But unfortunately, we are the 2 that would laugh. So she
I
says...
just started, so I'm like, oh, L, the name of the person. And then I'm like,
then it
too,
just-
too little.
But then it just
kept
spiraled.
rolling.
It
And her
story-
tied into NBA references with a wrist and
Okay,
and,
well,
and
that's way
injuries
too, oh, that's
and
way too
stuff.
much. That's way too much.
Sorry.
Okay, so now we're
Sorry, Mom.
Sorry,
Lola.
Mom. Yeah, they were really mad at us
Yeah,
at
they were
dinner
mad.
today because we were laughing a lot. But in our defense, she framed it in a funny way.
Yeah, we're already 35 minutes in and we haven't talked about the draft yet.
Well, let's go ahead. Let's talk about
Okay,
the draft then.
draft, awesome. So here's my opinions. So this is actually relatively interesting. I was on WJR today, the voice of the Great Lakes, talking to Paul W., which if you're old, you know that's something.
He's a legend.
He's a legend. So I said that I think the last time Detroit looked this good to the national and international community was late 1940s, early 1950s.
I wasn't around then, so I couldn't.
And they agreed.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Just
great.
It's cool. Detroit, shout out. You guys did a great job. Lions, honestly, Holmes, you could just about draft anybody, and you're getting prompts for people. So let's just talk about the Lions draft picks. So obviously Arnold and Rakestraw, is that how you say his last name?
Rakestraw, yeah.
Rakestraw. Basically, they said, okay, our defensive backfield sucked. Everybody knows it, so we're just going to draft guys to help us. So number 1, number 2, they're going to have significant roles in the team next year. And then they did a funny stretch. That Manu dude from BC.
We're going really quick.
Yeah.
So I wrote down, talk about how great this is for the Windsor and Detroit area. You already did the Detroit area. Talk about how great it was for Windsor.
So we did
20 seconds,
yeah,
not more.
So draft party downtown Windsor. It was awesome. Me and Youngblood did a really good job, kind of helping out with the pros and autographs and stuff. And it was cool for the city. And oh yeah, Pedro, Sarah, Christine, thanks very much. Good shout outs. It was cool. Like Luke, awesome. He's got such a good personality. And Dakota,
Such a good personality. Yeah, Dakota,
really,
my guy.
Like, thank you, guys. Thanks for coming. And Montgomery from the Lions came over and signed autographs for over an hour. In person, he's not a big dude. On the field, he like trucks people. But I don't know. Is he 5'10", 200 pounds?
This is my 5'10". Yeah, he's jacked, but like, yeah, he'll
Yeah.
run you over. Okay, so that's enough of that. So we were at the draft
Thursday night.
Thursday night.
You got there earlier to get a good spot, and we just had to squish in with the rad team.
Yeah, so just chaos, just absolute chaos.
It was chaos and fun people.
Yeah.
And positive people. Like in Detroit, you have that many people, you kind of worry a little bit. It's not worried for 1 second. We're not worried. But
Yeah.
most people are. Some people are.
So just like making lots of friends and was like I went with Pedro, shout out Pedro, but then we met up with like 3 different groups of buddies that I had there, like just all sorts of people and different, and then we met new characters that entered the story, and then you showed up at like 5, and then you entered the story. It was great. It was really cool.
Did you post pictures on our Instagram?
No, in this I'm good for this episode. I was going to
Okay.
do a thing. Is that approved?
That's proof.
Okay.
Good content.
So the
There you
actual
go.
draft.
On the shoulders, one pride, you got to show those pictures.
Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah.
So at the draft, when you're there and you're not on your phone and you're not listening to the broadcast, you don't really know who's
No.
available.
It
So
was hard to figure that out, especially when trades happened.
So Arnold was a guy that was on my radar, but like
We're not going to get him. We're not going to trade up.
no
too much
mocks.
draft capital trade up.
no mocks had him falling anywhere near the Lions back into the first.
Like 18, 19 is maybe the lowest I saw him.
So he was like a perennial, like top 10 prospect.
Yes.
And like Jeremiah,
Yes.
like was top,
Correct.
he was like 10, 12. He was in that range. I think PFF was the lowest and had him at like 14. So he fell and he fell and fell. And this is just because all the offensive guys. We don't need to talk about that. But all the offensive
First
guys.
15 picks offense, that's weird.
I don't care.
Helped us. It's okay.
So the Lions, from my reading, wanted to trade up anywhere after 18 was kind of what their trade value stuff worked out. Whereas like if he falls to 18 and beyond, that's when we're going to go.
What
all
about
in
the
for him.
DB from Toledo, the cornerback who was taken first?
I don't think
remember
they
his
loved
name.
him.
No.
And
It's hard to say because he like went against regular dudes.
that's, yeah. So Arnold kept falling and falling and falling. And then Green Bay was going to take him at 25, I think.
Sorry about your luck, Green Bay. We scooped you.
So the Lions were able to pull off a trade, and they didn't trade up to 18 and give up a lot of draft cap. They only traded up to 24 and gave up like a third or like small marginal capital.
Yep.
And then got Arnold. So it was great being there for there's been a trade, and then it flashes the Lions logo.
The crowd went nuts, bonkers.
top few coolest sports moments I've
Yes,
seen.
it was awesome because again, you don't
Talk
know
about it,
what's
yeah.
happening, right? And
it was
when
cold.
when the other trades happened, you didn't really know. There was a couple times like, wait a sec, are they 10 or are they 11? But then the Lions are on the clock. You have easily 300,000 people losing their minds because if you're a Raiders fan or a Browns fan and you're there, you can't help but get hyped with the energy of the Detroit Lions fans. It's contagious. And last 2 weekends ago, it was contagious for everybody there. They're like, man, I'm cheering for Detroit.
So we're watching the draft, and it's kind of dragging, and
It is cold.
and it's cold, and it's late, and I've been there like all day, and I had some food, but like for a long time,
And peeing was tough.
peeing was tough. There's not just limited bathroom access, we'll say. There's a long time where I was just running on Apple and protein bar, as I do. And when they announced the Lions trade, we were kind of all like, Lions aren't going to be picking until like 11:45.
So we weren't totally focused in.
So we're in that mindset where it's just like, we're not picking for another 40 minutes or whatever it was. And then it's like, oh, it's happening now. The Lions are picking now. And everyone just erupts. So that was super cool, super electric. You talked about the cornerbacks briefly. This is what happened. Holmes saw how we lost the NFC Championship. I don't want to bring it up, but Holmes watched the game, and he watched how we lost. And the biggest factor was the defensive backs.
Yeah, the plan was not for Vildor to be garden guys in the playoffs.
So Holmes just said, we might lose in the NFC Championship again this year, but it's not going to be because of our defensive backs. And went all in on making sure that's not how we lose again, and I love it.
So now we have 5 cornerbacks.
Yeah.
Which is good. Let's just chat a little bit about the other guys that they picked. They picked some athletic freak from British Columbia, Manu, who people like, but here's the vision. They rolled the dice and say, listen, this guy could turn into a stud or he could not. But they're in a position right now because they have good organizational depth that they can afford to take a risk. And he'll look like a genius if it turns out to be a solid starter. Or if he doesn't, it's like, hey, you took a risk. You got to take those sometimes.
So I was doing some reading on him. Very little, like huge project pick. A lot of pro sites had him not ranked. Like going undrafted, like not 7th round, 6th, like undrafted. And Holmes decided to take him in the 4th round. He's sure, benefit of the doubt. Holmes, I love it. You know, like I'm all in now. Talk about Vaki, who we're going to fall in love with here.
He's just their all-everything guy. So he is their running back, slot back, defensive back, and plays special teams.
Yeah, I think he's going to be... Remember Miles Killebrew?
Yeah, linebacker.
He's like linebacker, safety, kind of hard hitter, special team guy. Vaki, from I haven't seen this take online, so maybe I'm wrong, but I think it's like an elevated Killebrew. We can kind of do a bit of everything, defense, special teams.
It's nice to have those guys.
He's also a running back. And I think it looks like Lions want him as a more of an offensive player.
Okay.
But he can hit, so that's cool.
You know, they picked up a couple of guys from good programs, Wingo at defensive tackle and Mahogany at guard, who, I think are good organizational depth guys who, you know, in week 15 when you get injury, you can probably plug them in and play, right? McNeil needs a day off, boom, plug in Wingo.
Well, a lot of these guys, Wingo and Mahogany, I don't know them.
Much higher.
They're like top 100, top 120 prospects.
And you're drafting
them
at 200, 210.
Exactly. So, great draft, Holmes. We kind of benefit of the doubt, do what you want. It's kind of where I'm at.
JJ, sorry, but we don't like you anymore. We're going to hope for you to fail. Not get injured, but just fail. And Caleb Williams, bust. So, sorry, Urban.
I'm not a fan of Caleb.
He's going to be a bust.
I don't want to get into it, especially...
I heard nobody went to his birthday party.
We're not talking about that. I don't like
Nobody
Caleb.
did.
I have valid reasons for not liking Caleb, and then I have some stupid reasons. But nonetheless, I'm not a Caleb guy. Okay, that's all we got. Wrap it up.
Okay, fans, thanks very much. Now we're at the point of the season where there's a lot of baseball talk. So if you want to send us topics that you would like us on the show to discuss, or if you think you are an expert enough to appear on the show with us, please reach out to us.
Okay, I agree.
Oh, great. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.